Magnificent 7 tech stocks and Aussie tech stocks are now up 34% in 28 days, and shares gained the nod to keep rising up over the long term overnight. But I do think that you should be considering trimming your winners ahead of a key major jobs report out next week, the RBA meeting, followed by Nvidia earnings out the week after. My name's Jessica Amir, market strategist here with Mumu. It's great to have your company on this Friday, the 16th day of May. So we saw US shares gain the nod to keep running higher overnight, with the S&P 500 rising up for the fourth straight day. Let's just bring a chart into the equation and put it all into, I guess, visual terms. We can see the S&P 500 is now up considerably from its low. In fact, it's almost in a bull market. It's up 19.4% just in 27 days alone. Now, the validation for equities to keep on rising up actually gained a little bit more firepower overnight. We saw an unexpected very big drop in business inflation overnight, known as PPI, or Producer Price Index. We actually saw the biggest fall in producer prices in 5 years. Sure, we also saw uninspiring retail sales and flat as a pancake industrial data. Basically, adding it all together, what do you get? We actually now have more evidence that the US economy needs some Fed lovin', basically a rate cut. Now, this thinking is why markets are gaining fresh bullish legs yet again. And we also saw markets volatility index, which we call the fear index, that fell. It fell to its lowest level since before Trump slapped extra tariffs on China on March 4. Now, basically, all I'm saying is this suggests people are more optimistic about equities before tariffs came into play. So there's a lot to be said about that. This sets a pretty pearly tone for financial markets down under today, and perhaps for some time. And this is really important to note. That's why we're seeing lower bond yields and a softer US dollar. And this is good. This is a very good setup for equities. And of course, this is a very good setup for commodity prices. Now, speaking of pearly, the aluminium price, a key commodity needed in the AI build-out. Of course, aluminium, I say aluminium, you might say aluminum, that's used in data centers, chips, electronics, EVs, and also hybrids. Now, the aluminium price, or aluminum, is breaking out higher, and it's expected to push on up. The market is starting to tell us this as well. Indeed, this is probably why the aluminium price was the best performing commodity overnight. It rose 1.6%. It doesn't seem like much, but putting it into a big scheme of things, we're seeing the aluminium price rise 7% in almost 4 weeks. That's pretty strong. It basically suggests that investors believe the AI bullish narrative will support higher demand for aluminium. And as long as the US dollar is lower, that means aluminium prices can keep on pushing up. Remember what we spoke about in our weekly as well last week? AI investment is expected to exceed $1.8 trillion by 2032. So with all this investment, we need a lot more chips, data centers, and hello, that means more need for aluminium too. Now, this is basically a pretty pivotal moment for you to maybe consider looking at some commodity players that are making money from aluminium. So let's think about a couple, just to name a few. We've got South32 in Australia. They're a key aluminium exporter here down under. So too is Rio Tinto. So you might want to keep these stocks on your radar. We can see that their shares have done pretty well, roaring up from April 7 lows. What about the Aussie share market today? Well, earlier the futures were suggesting we'd have a positive start, pointing to a lift of 1.1%. That'd be a pretty nice addition if we see the market rise by that on Friday. Particularly consider this week has been a strong week. We've seen the Aussie share market rise almost 1.1% just from Monday to Thursday alone. So we're pretty close to those February record all-time highs that we hit back on Valentine's Day. But I just want you to consider it's natural to see some profit taking or caution picking up ahead of traders really wondering how on earth the RBA is going to cut interest rates next week. because yesterday we saw employment data came out. It was so strong. It basically proved our economy is so strong, the RBA may not need to cut interest rates when they meet next week. Now, this is why I want you to really consider looking at CBA. So CBA yesterday reported record profits, and the thinking is, as I suggested a little while ago, that they will return to their highest profits ever of $10.4 billion in under a year. Now, CBA, of course, the biggest bank in Australia, the biggest stock on the ASX. This is really testament to how strong the economy is. And maybe, just maybe, we don't need the RBA to cut interest rates. All I'm saying is consider that naturally traders may be trimming some wins, as in CBA shares have gone up extraordinarily. It may be worthwhile considering taking some profits off the table, because we may see markets fall if we get disappointing news next week. With that in mind, I do want you to also consider tech stocks as well. Tech stocks should be expected to, I guess, succumb to a little bit of profit taking. It's very natural for traders and investors to take slivers of profits off the table so that they can keep cash on the sidelines, ready to buy more stocks that they like at cheaper prices. So just to summarize, the key things standing in the way of markets and that could upset markets, of course, the US jobs report next week. Secondly, the RBA meeting on Tuesday, followed by NVIDIA's earnings report out later this month. And lastly, do consider, as we said, those magnificent 7 tech stocks are up 34%. That includes stocks like NVIDIA, Tesla, Amazon. They're all up 34% in total on average. And so too are Australian tech stocks like Life360, Megaport, NextDC. They're up in the order of 77% in Life360's case. NextDC up 38%. So do keep an eye on those stocks. They could succumb to profit taking. And I was going to let you go, but just want to mention one more thing. How about Cisco? Cisco reported an outstanding report last night. They were the 5th best performer in the S&P 500, rising almost 5% back towards their record all-time high on a far better than expected sales forecast for AI. Plus, we know there's plenty of deals coming in their pipeline, including from Saudi Arabia. For more information on the stocks we've mentioned today, head over to Mumu's platform. Don't forget to tune into our podcast, and we'll see you for the weekly.